My wife thought she was clever cheating on me. She didn't realize I owned the love nest she was using. All right, Reddit, I need to get this off my chest. This has been my life for the past 6 months. I'm a pretty boring guy on paper. 42, work a mid-level job in the public service here in Canberra. My life is a cycle of spreadsheets, briefs, and trying to find a decent parking spot. It's stable, predictable. I thought that's what my marriage was too. My wife, let's call her Chloe, 40, is the opposite. She's a high-flying real estate agent. Always on, always closing a deal, always dressed to the nines. We were a classic case of opposites attract. I was her calm anchor, and she was my social butterfly. For 15 years it worked. Our daily life was a well-oiled machine. I'd be up at 6:30 a.m., make the coffee, a specific dark roast she liked, and we'd have exactly 20 minutes together before she flew out the door for a team breakfast or an early showing. I'd work my 9 to 5, come home, walk the dog, and start dinner. Chloe would get home anywhere between 7 and 9 p.m., full of stories about difficult clients and multi-million-dollar properties. We'd eat, watch an episode of whatever show we were binging, and go to sleep. Rinse and repeat. The cracks started to show about a year ago. The late nights with clients became more frequent. She started guarding her phone like it was a state secret, always angled away from me. There was a new scent, an expensive, musky perfume that wasn't the light floral one I'd bought her for her birthday. When I asked about it, she'd just say, "Oh, a client must have hugged me. You know how it is." The real alarm bell was the finances. Chloe handled our fun budget, and I handled the boring stuff like the mortgage and bills. I started noticing charges for fancy dinners at restaurants in Kingston and Braddon on days she was supposedly eating leftovers at her desk. When I brought it up, she was a master of deflection. "Oh my God, that was a client dinner. I must have used the wrong card. I'll pay you back." She never did. The final straw was when she said she was going to a weekend real estate conference in Sydney. I helped her pack. The next day, I got a notification for a speeding ticket. The photo showed her car, clear as day, heading south towards the snowy mountains, not north towards Sydney. My heart sank into my shoes. The boring, predictable man inside me died that day, and someone else, someone cold and methodical, took his place. I didn't confront her. Instead, I hired a private investigator. The PI was a quiet ex-cop who was brutally efficient. 2 weeks later, I was sitting in my car looking at a folder of photos that ripped my world apart. Chloe, laughing and kissing a man, a slick-looking guy in a tailored suit who I vaguely recognized as a developer she worked with. They were going into a modern apartment building in Kingston, one of those new fancy ones overlooking the lake. The PI had the apartment number, 302. I went home, and a strange calm washed over me. I opened my laptop and logged into the management portal for my side business. You see, for the past decade, the boring public servant had been quietly investing in property. I owned a small portfolio of rental apartments across Canberra, managed by a third-party company. Chloe knew I had an investment property, but she had no idea about the scale. I typed in the address of the Kingston apartment building, and there it was, apartment 302. It was one of mine. They were having an affair in my apartment. It was being rented by a shell corporation with the lease signed by the developer. They were paying me to cheat on me. The sheer, unbelievable irony of it was so staggering I almost laughed. And that's when the plan formed. This wasn't going to be a screaming match. This was going to be a project. The revenge. Phase 1. Information gathering. I had the legal right as the owner to inspect the property with 24 hours notice. I had the property manager schedule an emergency maintenance check on the fire sprinklers. While the technician, another guy from the PI's firm, checked the sprinklers, I had him install 2 tiny motion-activated cameras. One in the living room, one in the master bedroom. I know, the legality is gray, but this was my property and I was documenting illegal use. The lease had a strict no subletting clause and was for residential use only, not as a private brothel. For 3 months I watched. I listened. I downloaded everything. I saw them toast to their future with my money. I heard her mock my boring, predictable life. I watched them live out a fantasy, completely oblivious. Every night, Chloe would come home to me, kiss me on the cheek, and complain about her stressful day. I just smiled. Phase 2. The execution. I picked a date. I contacted a shark of a divorce lawyer. On his advice, I methodically moved exactly half of our liquid assets into a new bank account in my name only. I packed all of Chloe's things, her designer clothes, her shoes, her expensive perfumes, into boxes. The day came. She called me at 4 p.m. "Hey, honey, so sorry, a last-minute client meeting just popped up. It's going to run super late. Don't wait up for me for dinner." "No problem at all," I said, my voice perfectly level. "You work hard. Take your time." I knew she was on her way to the apartment. I waited an hour, then I drove there myself. I let myself into the building and stood outside the door to 302. I could hear them laughing inside. I didn't knock. I just used my owner's master key and walked in. The look on their faces. I wish I could bottle it. Pure, unadulterated shock, followed by scrambling panic. Chloe, mid-laugh, with a glass of champagne in her hand. The developer, frozen on the couch. I didn't shout. I just smiled calmly and said, "Chloe, you forgot to tell me your client meeting was here." In my apartment. I watched the color drain from her face as the words, "my apartment," sank in. What? What are you talking about?" she stammered. "This is my property," I said, gesturing around the room. "You've been paying me rent for the last 6 months to conduct your affair. So, thank you for the investment. Now, the lease is terminated due to multiple breaches. You have 1 hour to vacate." I then turned to the developer. "And you, mate, I've sent a full portfolio of your activities here to your wife and to the board of your company, along with a formal complaint. Enjoy that." I walked out, leaving them in the ruins of their little fantasy world. When I got home, her boxes were stacked neatly in the driveway. I had the locks changed. She called me 100 times, screaming, crying, threatening. I didn't answer. The aftermath. The divorce was swift. My evidence was so overwhelming she didn't get a thing more than her legal half. Her real estate agency fired her for the ethics breach of sleeping with a major developer and getting caught so spectacularly. His company kicked him off their board, and last I heard, his wife took him to the cleaners. As for me, I sold that apartment. It felt tainted. I took the dog, and we moved to a new place. It's quieter. Life is still predictable, but it's mine. And sometimes when I'm balancing a spreadsheet, I smile, because the most boring, predictable man can still be the one to burn it all down.